This section is on slope-intercept form. So I know a lot of us have heard of slope-intercept form, and I'm hoping this will be more of a review, at least at the beginning of the section. So we start off with y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form of a line. Throughout Module 6, we're going to be looking at slope-intercept form and point slope form and standard form. So first we're going to identify what this m is. So the m represents the slope or the rate of change, which is what we spent the whole last section talking about. The b represents the y-intercept, which is what we spent the section before talking about. So remember, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So we're going to start off, our first of 3 topics is creating linear equations in slope-intercept form. So we start off in the easiest format, and then we'll kind of work our way towards up the hardest. So when I say easiest, I mean we're given the most information. So in this one, we need to put it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and we know the slope and we know the y-intercept. So really, if we know how to identify that, we can easily plug it in. So I know that slope is m, so m equals 1/2, and then the y-intercept is b, so b equals 3. So if I have that, I could write y equals m, which is 1/2, x, and then plus b, which is 3. So that would be my equation. So the next one, we're given the slope, which is very helpful. We're not given the y-intercept this time, but we are given a point. So what we're going to do is write what we know. So we know that m is equal to 3. So we can go ahead and plug that in. So y equals 3x plus b. Now we don't know b, but we do know that 2, 5 is a point x comma y. So what we can do is plug in that point for x and y and solve for b. So I'm going to plug in 5 for y, and then I'm going to plug in 2 for x. So then we would have 5 equals 3 times 2, which is 6, plus b. We could subtract 6. So 5 minus 6 is -1, which is equal to b. So now I have m and I have b. So my equation would be 3x minus 1. So that would be our level 2, right? We're given the slope, we're given a point. Now our level 3 would be given no slope or no y-intercept. So in this case, we just have 2 points. Luckily, in 5.3, we know and we learned that you can find the slope between 2 points. So that's going to be our first step. So step 1 is to find the slope. So how we are going, which is m, okay? So we have 1 minus 7. We're doing the change in y over the change in x. So 1 minus 7 over 3 minus 5. Well, 1 minus 7 is -6. 3 minus 5 is -2. -6 divided by -2 is 3. So that means that m is equal to 3. Step 2, okay? So we have this slope, we don't have the y-intercept. Now, if we look back at the last problem, we had the slope and we had a point, and that was helped us find the y-intercept. Well, the same thing here. So now we have the slope and we have 2 points. So basically, I can plug in either point to solve for b. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 3, 1. So right now I have y equals, and then I have 3x plus b. I have my m. So I'm going to plug in 1 for y, and I'm going to plug in 3 for x. So this would be 1 is equal to 9 plus b, and I can subtract 9. So I get -8 is equal to b. So now I have my equation, which would be y equals 3x minus 8. And that is in slope-intercept form. All right, so that was our first topic, which is finding the slope-intercept form of an equation given certain information. Our second topic of 3 is graph in slope-intercept form. So obviously this is not in slope-intercept form, so our first task would be to put it in slope-intercept form. So I know I need to solve for the y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2x from both sides. So that would give me 6y equals, now I can't combine these two things because they are unlike terms. So I'm going to go ahead and write it separate, and notice I put the x in front so it looks more like slope-intercept form. Now to get the y by itself, I would divide by 6 from every single part. So this would be y equals, now we can kind of simplify this, right? So negative 2 divided by 6 is really negative 1/3 x, and 6 divided by 6 is 1. So this is our equation. Now we have to graph it, which we have already talked about how to do. So we start with our point at 1. That's our y-intercept. From there, we're going to go down 1 over 3. We could also go up 1 and to the left 3. Now, we can once again check if we are correct by making sure at least our line is going in the right direction. If we look at the slope, it is negative, so that tells us as we read the graph from left to right, it should be going down, which is true. Okay, so our third topic is determine solutions of equations in 2 variables. So we have the initial height or the initial charge for a taxi is $3.50. So that's the initial fee. If they charge $1.25 per mile, find the cost of riding 10 miles. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of write what we know. So y equals, so we know that it is $1.25 per mile. So that right there tells us x represents miles, and plus our initial fee of $3.50. Now that doesn't have a variable because that's not changing. It's a constant. So if I were to plug in like 10 for 10 miles, that's going to give me an output of money. So that's what we want. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and do that. So 125 for 10 miles plus our initial $3.50 fee. So this would be $12.50 plus $3.50. So how we can kind of think of that is $12 plus $3, which is 15, and then plus both of those 50 cents would be 16. So really what this means is a point 10 comma 16 is a solution to the equation. Okay. So that just about covers everything for slope-intercept form.